The rest of her videos I could gain access to have similar chilling sentences.
That is, yeah, that's very out there. That's somebody that I guess believes in what well, yeah, I don't even I don't even know what to say to that. That's just so crazy. Hmm. So, from Queen Ramona of Canada, Royal Decree Number 2 pertaining to sex education in the school curriculum, private and public, states Her Majesty, I am Queen Romana at Romana Didulo, Head of State at and Commander in Chief, Head of Government, Queen of the Kingdom, Canada, listing a time afterwards, following into her claim that effective today, students taking sex education classes must meet the minimum age of 24 years old age or older. The penalty for violating this royal decree hashtag minimum 30 years, hashtag imprisonment without bail or parole, first offense, and lifetime imprisonment for a second offense. And yes, the hashtags are included in her royal decree. As you can tell, it is very formal, as well as some emojis, just to give it some more class. Peace and prosperity or perish. I don't play politics. Majesty Queen Romana Didulo, Head of State and Commander-in-Chief, Head of Government, President and Queen of the Kingdom of Canada. And just as a side note, obviously many people in school taking sex ed are 24 years old age or older. So this decree makes a lot of sense.
I also like the usage of the emojis. After telling us that if you violate it, you are going to get lifetime imprisonment, there are a bunch of frog emojis. Frog, 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 Q, frog, 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 Q, frog, 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 Q, frog, frog. It feels very it feels very threatening, but at the same time very lighthearted. If someone proposed to me their royal decree and it was like if you do this wrong, you're gonna go to jail for your rest of your life, and there was a bunch of like emojis of like the sun and like or a little photo of like some kids playing volleyball at the beach. I feel like that kind of gives it a more lighthearted era.
For sure, for sure. Moving on, Royal Decree Number 6, pertaining to cruise ships, both domestic and international. Queen of Canada states, Her Majesty, I am Queen Romano at Romano Didulo, Head of State and Commander-in-Chief, Head of Government, Queen of the Kingdom of Canada. Cruise ships, companies requiring passengers to be hashtag injected with pharmaceutical industry concocted poison disguised as vaccines or PCR, no commas or periods, hashtag tested effective today, are not permitted to dock in Canada 2.0. And yes, Canada 2.0 is what it was called. Or do business inside Canada 2.0. These cruise ships operating business licenses and docking permits in Canada are hereby hashtag revoked with immediate effect. Penalties for violating this royal decree is hashtag 5 underscore billion underscore Canadian underscore dollars, and then in brackets 5 with a lot of zeros. Hashtag daily, all caps, and will be charged for crimes against humanity. Not the card game, though.
I love that it's $5 billion hashtag daily. So it's not like you get charged with this and you pay $5 billion just one time. I mean, everyone has just $5 billion sitting around, but daily?
Maybe Elon Musk or Jeff Bezos could pay that fee for a couple of days, but after that, there's nobody else that really has $5 billion laying around, I guess.
If everyone in the world chipped in $1, there's like 8 billion people, right? There'd be 3 billion left over. So that means that if I violate this decree and you do, only one of us is getting out of jail here. but we're still charged for crimes against humanity. So if we get sent to jail for 30 years, that's that's a lot of zeros if it's $5 billion a day.
March of 2023, Didulo started printing off her own money illegally. She claimed to have full support from another right-wing politician named Roger Stone. Ramona used this title and conversations between the two of them to garner support for her cause and collect donations. This didn't sit well, as she was contacted by Stone's lawyer in an attempt to stop her fraudulent behavior. See, Ramona had never actually even spoken to Roger. She just used his name and fabricated interactions between them for the sake of her cult. Roger Stone cautioned his own followers that Ramona was running a scam. The same year, the Kingdom of Canada were kicked out of the town that they were living in. This was all the way in Nova Scotia, and they were removed by the RCMP and surrounding citizens. The cult eventually settled at an abandoned schoolhouse in Richmond, Saskatchewan, with around 25 members. The group of rowdy conspiracy theorists were nothing but a nuisance to locals for the next 2 years. The lot they moved on was abandoned, and any attempts to reach the owner proved futile. Mona and her cult group would defame local officials, like law, government, this looks like the mayor, or anyone on the town council on social media, or send her cult to harass members of the community. Their presence was very unwelcomed and were very threatening to the environment.
The people of Richmond held a protest over the weekend to urge a QAnon cult to leave the village. The cult conspiracy theorist group has sent out cease and desist letters threatening public executions of residents and village elected officials for what it calls bullying and corruption.
The town of Richmond responded by cutting off the water and sewage system of the abandoned school, resulting in a pretty nasty outcome. Wet, exposed pools of feces, urine, and whatever else comes out of holes you definitely don't want to talk about. They surrounded the compound, and Mayor Brad Miller told CBC News reporters that if there's wind, people probably 500 feet away can smell it. The school was eventually investigated by local officers after a claim was made that firearms were inside this building. This tip alerted the activity of the RCMP and a SWAT team. After storming the compound, Ramona actually ended up streaming her arrest live when the compound was evacuated.
Okay. Leave the phone down. You're under arrest. All right. Leave the phone down. Okay. One at a time. One at a time. Not too close. So there you go. Down on the ground, please. Okay. Please. Okay. Okay. So everyone. You're all listening. Okay. Okay. Thank you.
There were over 10 unlicensed firearms inside, as well as other weapons. Many members of the cult group were taken into custody, as well as Ramona. However, after her court hearing, she was released on bail.
Her cult group may have lost the building that they were living in, but their online presence is still very active. Physically, her cult only had around 25 to 30 members. But socially, at the beginning I said that she had around 60 to 70,000 followers. Her Canadian group was mostly disassembled. However, some members are still active in other parts of the community and have most spread out against in Saskatchewan and other surrounding areas. Ramona herself is still considered the Queen of Canada in their eyes.
That makes you wonder though, because like as you were saying, that Q lady, or guy, the anonymous one, Didulo took over her position basically, and like was the heir to Q's throne. So it's kind of scary knowing that some are out there thinking like somebody could be the heir to Ramona's throne and take her position, and next thing you know, you'll have the next Queen of Canada.
Exactly. And because QAnon was such an infamous group online already, The absence of their leader, Q, allowed Ramona to step up and fill that void. She would have sourced followers from that community, as well as other individuals who are very susceptible in terms of politics and conspiracy theories. A good example of that was Frank Curtis, and he's actually one of the individuals I use a lot of my video clips from.
Why, you think COVID's real? Do you? Yeah? Well, my boss got $1 million to start making COVID hand sanitizer bottles. Before it hit? Yeah, and he knew he was getting it long before COVID. Yeah. Yeah, he wears red high heel shoes down the main street with the elite. You know what red high heel shoes mean? Pedophilia.
He's a devoted follower of Ramona's and helped hand out cease and desist letters to local businesses.
See, and like this person could be that heir to the throne, and like it's loyal supporters like that also give like Ramona the okay, like she's like, and it's loyal followers like that also give like the Dulo the confirmation that she's looking for. He's giving her the confidence to believe that she can still be the Queen of Canada and stuff, and it's just that loyal support that keeps a crazy group like that in power. And normally, to break that kind of power, it takes something more significant than just an arrest. An arrest can even just make a group even stronger, because now they're all being affected the same. They're all seeking revenge. They want to just work together for the cause even more.
Exactly. Although Ramona may be behind bars, it doesn't mean her group is going to die. They're still going to be operating. They got so fired up when she was taken in by the RCMP the last time, there's no telling what they could do. And because this is still a cult operating in today's world, anything could happen. There could be anything on the news, especially since it's so local and close to home in Richmond. I don't know, have you ever been to Richmond before?
I haven't directly been in Richmond. I've been near Richmond, as I do ref a lot and go around to all the small little towns. Most small towns in Saskatchewan have their hockey rinks, so I've been around near it. But just that fact is kind of like crazy to think about, that I'm within driving distance of this crazy person.
Exactly, and it goes on to think, what would happen if the members of Richmond had been more susceptible? What if they had all believed her and her cult? What if they had joined forces? And then that's one small town under her control, which, I mean, we think of it as a small town. That's still quite a few people. If she had 100 people under her control in real life, that's just wild to me.
Like, think about all the times in history where it's only taken one person to make a change that's impacted millions. Never mind 100 people.
Exactly. I do know many friends and family have heard about the Queen of Canada, as when I was doing this podcast, I mentioned it to people at my work and my parents, and they have all been like, oh my goodness, I've heard about that. Is that the crazy cult leader? That kind of thing. It's a very popular case. It's still ongoing, and we'll have to see how it develops in the future.
Well, thank you so much for having me, Ella. I really enjoyed this podcast and learning some. Like, me too, I've also heard about the Queen of Canada before, and I've seen her pictures in the news, but I didn't really know the full extent of the story, and I've really enjoyed just learning some of the different dynamics and elements that are playing a part in this crazy case.
If you suspect that yourself, a loved one, or a group in your community is part of a cult or being thwarted by one, it's important to report this ASAP. Call emergency services or your local police to investigate this. You can also contact the Canadian Human Trafficking Hotline at 1-833-900 1010. If you find that the cult group in your community is harassing you, engaging in fraud, or any kind of unlawful activity, you can make sure to report it to the local police, the Canadian Anti-Fraud Centre, and the National Security Tip Line if the group shows promise of being violent or performing terrorism. Of course, if you yourself or a loved one are being involved in cult activity and want an out, you can contact the Info Cult, the Centre for Assistance and for the Study of Cultic Phenomenon in Canada. Their phone number is 513-274-2333. You can access their website online at infosecte.org or email them at infosecte@qc.aibn.com. This group gives help to families, former cult members, or anyone concerned about an involvement with a group. You are able to report to Crime Stoppers or the CIA or a majority of these groups anonymously. So if you're worried about your identity being discovered, it shouldn't be an issue. There are many support groups, systems, and hotlines to call if you are involved in any kind of cult activity or are worried about other people's involvement. Thank you for listening to The Silent Provinces, where we exhume Canadian cases that refuse to be forgotten.
The truth is coming.